Hey guys, my name is Cougar Draven, and this is something different. I mean, I would have more to say about it than just something different, but frankly, when you get down to it, this is really something weird. It's been about a month, I know that, since the last time I released a video, and there's a reason for that. I uploaded the last video I released on January 9th. 4 days later, I started classes at the local community college, and I've been ridiculously busy ever since. So there's a lot of stuff that just did not make it into, there's a lot of stuff I had an issue. I recorded a couple videos not too long ago. Let me double check really quick. See what's going on here. I recorded a couple of videos. It looks like January 20th is when I recorded these. Yeah, all of them. January 20th is when I recorded them. So, what bothers me about it is I had an issue and I lost all of my audio. It's all gone. I mean, it's still here, but it's unusable. Completely and totally unusable. So, they've been sitting on my hard drive for just over a month because I haven't felt like I could do anything with them. And I got bored, so I figured I'll do some recording for this right now. The thing is, I have the links to the videos that I'm using, and I'm gonna record some stuff, but I can't actually watch the video because there's still something going on with my microphone that every time I try to record, I try to watch a video and record audio, it screws up and gets all choppy and robotic. Don't know why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to record the right amount of stuff, which in this case is a 38-minute segment for, it looks like this is going to be the third Minish cap video. Yeah, that's what this looks like it's going to be. And then the other one I have is the fourth liquid crystal video. I still have videos that I haven't put up for these, but what I'm going to do with this right here is I'm going to record this, and I'm going to record the other bit, and altogether it's just over an hour. And while I'm recording that, I'm going to be super entertaining, and I'm going to do some homework, because I've got homework that's due tomorrow, and I've started the process, but this is ridiculous, and I just spent like 2 days working on one problem, because calculus is bullshit. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do homework, and I'm going to try to chat about it. Not about the homework, obviously, because who cares? But just so I'm going to, do some stream of consciousness, and if I don't end up getting much homework done, then when I'm done with this stream of consciousness hour, I will do homework while watching Let's Plays, which is what I've been doing for the past month. Is doing homework while watching Let's Plays. A lot. So let's see here. Yeah. God, this is bullshit. This stuff is bullshit. So, I guess I'll wait. This is a problem. I saw it, I'm like, I'm tired, I'm just gonna be done. So let's see, what do I want to talk about? Gotta figure something out. I got 35 minutes of content to fill. If I had thought about this, I would have recorded this yesterday on the Ferris's place. But I didn't think about it then. Nor did I think about just grabbing some D&D audio, because we played some D&D. We started a new campaign. The previous campaign that I recorded some stuff of was run by me, and now we're playing one run by On the Ferris, in which I'm playing a sorcerer, which is awesome. So it's pretty cool. I just have not. I'm out of practice, man. I'm out of practice. So sorry if this is a little bit boring. I could just release this without commentary and just be like, yeah, cool, here, have a thing. But I don't want to do that. I mean, it's silly, really, but this stuff's been sitting on my hard drive for a while. It's taken up about 15 gigabytes, and I'd like to render it out and get it off my hard drive as quick as tonight. I want to get it off my hard drive tonight. I've also got the first session we recorded 2 sessions so far of Omniferous, myself, and Zachar playing The Legend of Zelda for the NES, and I've been having some trouble trying to get that to sync up properly. The audio is fine, but the video doesn't want to sync up properly. I don't know why. So that's been sitting on my hard drive for a while, the first session, and then once I get that working, I'm gonna grab the video and Zach's recording of the audio from the second session, and I'm gonna mix that up as well, and then hopefully I'll release them. I mean, I'm not, I just haven't had the time to sit down and make this content anymore. So, just, if I had the time to do it, there would be videos of it, but I haven't had the time. It's stupid. I planned on starting this. I had planned on recording videos, in sessions, and then rendering them all at once, and then uploading them, so they would upload 5 videos a week. And that didn't work. That didn't happen. So here I sit, with really nothing to do. Just kind of, sitting in front of the computer. I don't even know. I am really tempted to just let it sit. And, I'm tempted to let it sit until I have enough content in my audio to put together and release as part of the video. But it's probably not going to happen that way. I'm probably just going to, find something to talk about. Actually, I think I have an idea. Because I've got all this time on my hands, I'm taking 3 classes. Technically 4, but I don't count one of them as a real class because it's bullshit. I'm taking 3 classes. One of them is I'm taking a what is it? Sorry, I'm just kind of tired. Weird. I'm taking calculus, and I'm taking, starting in March, I'm taking an English class, which is required. It's the base level English. They only have 3 English classes that are required, but they're all bullshit. But then I'm taking also philosophy. Philosophy's pretty awesome. Let me just put it that way. Let me flip through my books. Well, through one book, really. It's not multiple books. Flip through the books, and Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas. That's the test I have tomorrow, is on the Thomas Aquinas section. And let me tell you something, I'm fucking sick and tired of talking about God. From both sides. Because we've talked about Thomas Aquinas, we've talked about William of Ockham, we've talked about Augustine, Socrates and all of that, and then we're gonna get to other things. We're gonna talk. I think next is Descartes. I think his Cartesian doubt is the next thing we're doing, and we're going to eventually I think we're gonna talk about Immanuel Kant and David Hume, who are awesome people, but I'm just sick of talking about God. I'm sick about talking about philosophy in the realm of the religious, and I realize it's hard to get away from that. It's hard to pull away from the idea that religion and philosophy are intertwined, because they are very deeply intertwined. But I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to talk about. I'm just kind of sick and tired of talking about whether God exists and using philosophy. Can you prove God exists and blah blah blah? Because I've made my own choices. I've made my own beliefs. I have my own opinions, and I don't need to have those opinions questioned and then re-questioned and then subject to scrutiny just because I might disagree with a philosopher who's been dead for 900 years almost. No, 700 years. 700 years? When did Aquinas die? Flip. I love how you can probably hear the flip of the pages. Aquinas. That's Avicenna. Aquinas, that's Anselm. Anselm's been dead for 900 years. Aquinas, 1274, so that's 740 years. He's been dead 3/4 of a millennium. And he's widely considered one of the most important Christian philosophers, and my problem here is that he makes a case for his logic, and then immediately, one of the most famous proofs that Aquinas did was the 5 ways in which you could prove God's existence. Technically, it's only 3, because the first 3 ways are just restated versions of the same argument. But they're similar. They're similar, all of them, in that, let me see if I can find some, alright, the first 3 ways are known as the argument from change, the argument from efficient causality, and the argument from possibility and necessity. And all 3 of them are arguments against the cosmological argument, which is said that something, that everything has either, it's the idea of the argument from change and the argument from efficient causality is each thing is an effect that has a cause. Alright, fine, I get that so far. But then you chain it back because each cause is also an effect that had a cause. And you chain that back, and you chain that back, and you chain that back, and what you find out is that eventually there comes a point where you've reached the infinite, that there cannot be any further causes in the chain. Not that you've reached it, not that there can't be, but that if you keep going back, then it's infinite and infinite and infinite and infinite, and it just never stops. And so what Aquinas does is he said, well, clearly this is the case, but I'm going to make a special exception and say that there's a thing which could have caused itself, or a thing which could have existed, which could have been chained, which could have changed something else without having been changed itself first. Basically what he's saying is, this is the way things are, but here's this exception to the rule. And there's no reason to believe that that's the case. Which is, of course, what Occam says, is that there's no reason there's no need to suppose God's existence. If you want to believe in God, that's fine, but you don't need to prove his existence. You don't need to say that, here's a thing that absolutely exists. If you want to believe he exists, fine, but don't go around saying his existence is necessary, because it isn't. And then there's another one, which is the argument from grades of goodness, which, frankly, no, that doesn't understand. It conflates the idea that something that is more good than something else is also more real than that. If A is more good than B, then A is also more real than B, and that just doesn't make any logical sense. The idea of the great chain of being makes no sense. And the other one is the argument from the guidedness of nature, which is the argument of intelligent design, and I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm sick of talking about God. I'm sick of it, because what I believe is not necessarily what someone else believes. And I am of the opinion that everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. Even if I disagree with somebody, the fact that they have a belief that they're willing to stick by, that's pretty cool. I'm down with that. So I want to talk about people like, let's see. Still talking about God. I want to talk about Descartes. Descartes' pretty awesome. The idea of, what does existence even mean, that kind of stuff. I want to talk about, David Hume. I want to talk maybe a little bit about Immanuel Kant. Kant? I don't know how to... Does it mention how he pronounces it? I mean, I don't want to talk about their opinions on God. I would like to talk about their thoughts. They mention Gottfried Wilhelm von Leibniz. I'm stuttering like a motherfucker right now. But the reason I want to talk about this are like people like John Stuart Mill and Ludwig Wittgenstein. Those are the people I want to talk about. Wittgenstein specifically. There's an entire chapter devoted to Wittgenstein's linguistic analysis, and that's actually awesome. Because, I got into this I got into the idea of philosophy because my ex-wife handed me her copy of the Tractatus Logico Philosophicus. Something like, shit, 6 years ago? Seems about right? 6 years ago? 2008? Yeah, that seems about right. She handed me this book and said, hey, you might like this. And I picked it up, and I opened it, and I read it, and holy shit, it made sense. Or rather, it didn't make sense, but in the best possible way. Because, okay, the concept of the Tractatus, I wonder if I still have the copy I had on my laptop. Because I can record and I think read a book at the same time. Shouldn't be a problem. Let's see, yeah, we're not having any problems. No lag, no nothing. Alright, so yeah, let me just, books, non-fiction, philosophy. Tractatus Logico Philosophicus. Opening and seeing if this works. Alright. Alright, didn't work. Source format, not PDF. That's great. Okay. So what I will do is I will open up the other one. My e-reader format. Alright. Come on now. There we go. Okay, so we begin... Oh, it's in German, too. That's right, I forgot about that. But basically, the first point of this is it's organized in terms of facts. It's organized in terms of statements. It's very elegant, actually, the way it's organized. So what you get is there are 7 core statements. 7 core statements. They're numbered 1 through 7. And then there are other statements which are comments on the first statement, on the previous statement. And there are statements that are comments on those, and comments on those, and da-da-da. Like in this case, the first statement is, the world is everything that is the case. What that's saying is that the world is everything that's true. Pretty much. Because the first comment on that 1.1 is, the world is the totality of facts, not of things. And you know, so what is factual? And if you take up everything that is factual and put it all together, every single piece of fact, every single fact that is true, and you take it all and you put it all together, you have the world. And then you have 1.11, which is the world is determined by the facts, and by these being all the facts. So if you have all the facts, you have a picture of the world. 1.12 is for the totality of facts determines both what is the case and also all that is not the case. Because if you have what's fact, you then know by, what's the word I'm looking for? Not by proxy, that's not right. You know by process of elimination what is not fact, what is not factual. And then 1.13, the facts in logical space are the world. What he means by the facts in logical space comes back in 2.202, or really just 2.20, I think. Let me scroll down here. Yeah, well, I mean, alright, 2.202. The picture represents a possible state of affairs in logical space. So what logical space means here is, let me see. Logical, okay, from my textbook. Logical space consists of all the possibilities there are for all the objects there are to be related to each other in all the possibly different ways there are. So the logical space, the facts in logical space are the world. Logical space is everything. Logical space is every single way which every single thing can relate to every other single thing. And by thing I mean fact. And by thing I mean idea. The facts in logical space or the world is saying that the true things of logical space are what is the world, and what is not the world is logical space. What is not the world is not the case, not factual. And then 1.2, the world divides into facts. 1.21, any one can either be the case or not be the case, and everything else remains the same, which means there is no fact, as far as I can tell, there are no facts which rely on other facts. is what I'm getting at. Now, statement number 2, main level statement. What is the case, the fact, is the existence of atomic facts. Which is to say, the existence of facts which cannot be separated from other facts, atomic, facts that are in and of themselves complete, they exist, that is the case, that is true. These things exist. That is what that statement says. And then an atomic fact is a combination of objects, entities, and things. It is essential to a thing that it can be a constituent part of an atomic fact. 2.012. In logic, nothing is accidental. If a thing can occur in an atomic fact, the possibility of that atomic fact must already be prejudged in the thing. Which is saying, God, this is complicated stuff. It gets crazy hard as you go on. But let's finish up. Let's finish up before I let me see where I'm at with time. I am at 21 minutes. I've got about 15 minutes left. Maybe a little more. So let's move on to the third statement, which is the logical picture of the facts is the thought. Is there a commentary on that in the book? Which is saying that our thoughts are pictures. Done. If an 3.001, an atomic fact is thinkable, means we can imagine it. The totality of true thoughts is a picture of the world. Here's one. We cannot think anything unlogical, for otherwise we should have to think unlogically, which is impossible to do. You can't think you can't do that. It's entirely without sense. Another good one, 3.04. An a priori true thought would be one whose possibility guaranteed its truth. Therefore, something that is an a priori true thought is ontological. It is the subject of the ontological argument, which is saying that merely being possible means it is true. Which is nice. Let's see. Let's go on to 4. Let's go on and talk a little bit about the 4, because there's a lot of stuff about 3, which, I mean, the entire point of the Tractatus is to define logic. To define language, I'm sorry. Because Wittgenstein believed at this time that if you could define language, if you could define what language is, and set out a set of rules for language, then there would be no need to have any, there'd be no need to have any sort of, how do I put this? There'd be no need to have any sort of, all of the questions in philosophy would go away, because if we understood language, then we would understood there wouldn't be any problems left, because you could just have a simple question and answer. You could ask a question, and the very nature of logic and language would supply you with the answer. That's what he believed at this time. So the 4th one is the thought is the significant proposition. Which, again, goes on to what that even means to have logical, what even logical thought means. The totality of propositions is the language, which means, and then he defines how propositions work and what statements are and the way they're put together, and, the proposition is a picture of reality. The proposition is a model of the reality as we think it is. He's trying to define how propositions work. We're still in the comments. We're still in the first set of comments on the original. 4.1. A proposition presents the existence and non-existence of atomic facts. It's the definition of logic. He gets into logical language at this point. But for right now, it's talking about how we use language and in what ways logic what ways logic and language works. And, you know, and then we get to keep going here. And, there's a lot of 4.21, the simplest proposition, the elementary proposition, asserts the existence of an atomic fact. It is and 4.211, it is a sign of an elementary proposition that no elementary proposition can contradict it, which means that if it's an elementary proposition, then it's by definition so obvious that nothing can even assert that it could be wrong. Let's move on to 5. Yeah, let's move on to 5 here. If I can, because now we're getting to truth tables, and the way things work, which is, kind of bizarre. Truth tables are awkward, to say the least. And then there's the concept of tautologies, which is where's tautology? There's a nice handy definition of tautology here that I like. There we go. Yeah. Like in the truth table of the concept of P is either true or false. So the statement P or not P, no matter whether P is true or false, is always going to be true. It is a tautology because it is necessarily true. I'm talking with my hands and nobody can see it. So tautologies, yeah, there we go. 4.461. From it anyway. The tautology has no truth conditions, for it is unconditionally true, and the contradiction is on no condition true. So that's a pretty cool statement. And then proposition 5. Propositions are truth functions of elementary propositions. An elementary proposition is a truth function of itself, which is basically saying that what propositions are ways of putting elementary propositions into fact. And you know, there's a lot of complicated stuff. I need to pick up a new physical copy of this. Let's see. Go past. And then he talks about a priori and a posteriori. And this is complicated stuff. This is mostly a logical book, less philosophy, because it uses a lot of logical operators. But yeah. Let me see here. Time, because I'm doing this separate. Right, I got about 10 minutes left. So let's talk about statement 6, if I can find it. Wow, this gets ridiculous. I'm still not at the point where I understand logical operators like this, because I'm looking at these as functions, but I see them in mathematical terms, and so I'm seeing symbols like periods and tildes and question marks that don't make sense to me. So I'm not really 100% sure how it works. 6. Yeah, the 6 is nothing but logic, because it says the general form of truth function is really what it is it looks like. Do we have a comment on this? Because there should be a comment on this here. Nothing yet. It's all logic, and it's things I don't understand really, but there's a lot of dear God. Yeah, I'm reading this, and it's just like it doesn't make any sense to me. So but here we go. We're past it a little bit. So what we got here is 6.1. The propositions of logic are tautologies. The propositions of logic therefore say nothing, because tautologies don't actually say anything. There's no actual content there. It is only, this is true. This thing is necessarily true. Therefore, Because the necessarily true things have to encompass the things that are possibly true but possibly not true, which is why P or not P is empty. It doesn't say anything. It is just listing the possibilities. So tautologies don't actually have any content. Find another one here. Let's go up to 6.4 if I can find the thing. Because, you know, we're building on logic here. Building on logic. And 6.234. Mathematics is a method of logic. You're damn right, son. Now he's talking about Newtonian mechanics and, you know, the concept of the universe. Yeesh. Here we see. 6.361. We cannot compare any process with the passage of time. There is no such thing, but only with another process, say with the movement of the chronometer. Hence, the description of the temporal sequence of events is only possible if we support ourselves on another process. It is exactly analogous for space. When, for example, we say that neither of two events which mutually exclude one another can occur, it is because there is no cause why the one should occur rather than the other. It is really a matter of our being unable to describe one of the two events unless there is some sort of asymmetry. And if there is such an asymmetry, we can regard this as the cause of the occurrence of the one and then the non-occurrence of the other. You know, best I got there, time does not exist. And that sounds stupid, but, I mean, it's about... It makes a little bit of sense, I guess. But, you know, let's see. Alright, here we go. 6.4. Now is when things get really crazy. Okay? Now is when things get really crazy. All propositions are of equal value. 6.4.1. The sense of the world must lie outside the world. In the world, everything is as it is and happens as it does happen. In it, there is no value, and if there were, it would be of no value. If there is a value which is of value, it must lie outside all happening and being. So. All happening and being so. Whew, that's a weird phrasing. For all happening and being so is accidental. What makes it not accidental cannot lie in the world, for otherwise this would again be accidental. It must lie outside the world. 6.42. Hence, there can be no ethical propositions. Propositions cannot express anything higher. 6.421. It is clear that ethics cannot be expressed. Ethics are transcendental. Ethics and aesthetics are one. 6.43. I'm skipping a couple here. If a good or bad willing changes the world, it can only change the limits of the world, not the facts, not the things that can be expressed in language. In brief, the world must thereby become quite another. It must, so to speak, wax or wane as a whole. The world of the happy is quite another than that of the unhappy. How do I word this? How do I explain this here? I actually don't know. It seems to me that what that's saying is that, you know, ethics are not really logically describable, which is something I suppose is knowable. It makes sense. 6.4311. Death is not an event of life. Death is not lived through. If by eternity is understood not endless temporal duration but timelessness, then he lives eternally who lives in the present. Our life is endless in the way that our visual field is without limit. Which means we cannot, you know, it makes no sense to describe death in the context of life because it's a fundamentally different thing. It's why, you know, it's why that's a fundamental thing why you can't explain the edge of space. Like, what's beyond the edge of space? You know, what exists where there's no space? Nothing. But the concept of nothing doesn't fully quite grasp it. Now here's the big one here. Here is the big one. The entire point of the Tractatus is to define what can and cannot be said. It defines what can be said by defining what the language can even do. It defines the strengths, the weaknesses, the concepts of language itself. And so there is a point at which the language is limited. And that's where the last proposition, and in my opinion, possibly the most eloquent and elegant proposition in the book. And that is statement 7, the only one that doesn't have anything backing, the only thing that has no commentary on it at all. What it says is, whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. And I've heard that described in various ways, like if you don't know what, if you don't understand what you're talking about, don't talk about it. And that's one. I guess that's it's a way to interpret that. But what I believe it's saying is that if it's like you can only talk about something if you have the logical framework to actually talk about it. It is in and of itself tautological. It says nothing. It's another way of wording it is, what we cannot speak about we must pass over in silence. And what you have to pass over in silence are things like, I can't talk about it because there's no logic, there's no language for it. It's like asking what the color blue feels like. There's no way to describe it unless you're a synesthete, but I'm not in that way, or most. But still, there's no. This is where you run up to the edge of logic, the edge of language, where things don't make sense anymore, where the idea of sense just stops having meaning, I guess. But anyway, on top of that, after Wittgenstein wrote the Tractatus, he went to fight in World War I and was served as a prisoner. He taught for a while, and then he went to live as a gardener for a number of years. And when he came back to logic and philosophy, he felt that he had shame that he had not done himself correctly. So he wrote another book called Philosophical Investigations. And I don't have the knowledge to speak on that. But anyway, I am coming up on my time here. I managed to talk about philosophy for way longer than I thought I could. So I will see you guys next time. My name is Cougar Draven, and hope you have a good day. Peace. God damn it. My mouse is still not moving.